Tucked away in the historic, quaint little town of Gotha is a wonderful experience for those of you who love the outdoors and love plants and love just really being with nature. It's called NEHRLING Gardens. And Angela Withers is here. She is the president of the board there to tell us about the whole thing. What is NEHRLING Gardens and what is it all about?
NEHRLING Gardens, we like to think, is sort of one of the magical little not well-known places in Orange County. But we're gradually becoming better known, and we want to become more so. It was the historic home and garden of Dr. Henry NEHRLING, who was from Wisconsin, and he bought the property in 1886 because a friend who was traveling down in Florida told him that a Mr. Hempel was creating this little, what he called a German colony in the wilds of what became known as Gotha. And this was something Dr. NEHRLING was curator of the Milwaukee Museum. He was an ornithologist, amongst other things, but he loved tropical plants. And this friend said this would be a place you could grow them year-round instead of in a greenhouse up in the cold. So he bought the property sight unseen, about 40 acres originally, came down in 1886, and from then on every winter would come down and spend time there introducing plants, experimenting with plants. He was an extraordinary plantsman. And this garden of his, and he had 30 or 40 acres originally, it became a mecca for travelers in the early part of the 20th century. People who had never seen these fabulous tropical plants and caladiums. He's known as the father of caladiums. He was growing all of these on this site. But the story was lost because he died in 1929. And the wonderful house, he actually moving his family down. He decided in 1901 to move his family down and actually move to Florida. And so there were wonderful stories about the house. The house is special. The 6 acres that we have remaining are wonderfully natural. So there's so many things I could share with you about it. We really want people to come see it because it's different. We're not trying to be a Lou Gardens. That's wonderful. That has its place. We want to be an exploration garden. Because what we discovered when we bought the property, Dr. NEHRLING died in 1929, then it was bought by Julian and Maggie Nally, who were passionate about the work Dr. NEHRLING had done, and ran it as a sort of commercial nursery. Then for a number of years, they both died in 1978 within a few months of each other, had no children, so the property was subdivided. But they kept the 6 acres with the wonderful old house on it because everybody knew this was important, and it goes from Hempel Avenue down to the lake. So then it was rescued by the Bashardis, who lived they lived in Windermere at the time. He was an architect, loved the old house. Barbara was a passionate gardener. So they did a lot of work on it, and then Howard died, and Barbara couldn't maintain it. It became completely overgrown, but she wanted it saved. And so the Henry NEHRLING Society was formed at the end, right around 1999. The group started figuring out how can we save the property. She needed the money to leave. And eventually we got it at the end of 2009. And when you come and visit us, you need to know that when we bought it 13 years ago, our nonprofit, it took a machete to get around the property.
Really?
It was completely overgrown. Kudzu and air potato and cat's claw begonia and running bamboo. But here was this wonderful old house and a wonderful story and still amazing plants all in amongst us. And we said, we can make this work.
You know, you mentioned the tropical plants. How does it differ from other botanical locations in Central Florida?
Well, it's a mix, and when I say tropical, there are some more subtropical, is a little bit more appropriate. People would talk about coming and seeing his tropical plants, and some of them are. Caladiums, for example, are technically tropical, but they do brilliantly in Central Florida. So the main thing that is going to be different from other gardens is that we have left it very natural, because as we uncovered, instead of coming in and saying, oh, we're going to recreate, we gradually uncovered, and that was partly because we had no options.
Right.
We didn't have the money to come in. It was the best thing. Sometimes not having the money at the beginning is a really good thing, because as we cleared the vines and uncovered, we found all these amazing things. And then these wonderful old trees the canopy, the huge tree canopy, and the things we found underneath, we were then able to keep them and supplement and bring back the things that he was growing that haven't survived. But also, we want it to be a place where people discover nature and discover gardens and say, wow, look at that. That's what happens when this grows here. When a tree falls down, we keep a lot of the fallen logs, and then we all watch the amazing fungi, and we put bromeliads on them, or we hang orchids. But you're seeing the cycle of life. You're seeing the natural progression of things. And that's where we're different. We don't just move out the flowers when they're dead. We trim them back.
And from those humble beginnings, are there now signature events that happen that people can come and engage with Nehrling Garden?
We do, and those are fun. We've got one coming up, but we do about 3 a year, essentially, and one in the spring that's more of a morning caladium event, caladiums, canvases, and coffee, and we'll have artists painting the gardens and music and coffee and goodies and usually some mimosas and things too, to make it fun. And then in the fall, we've got one coming up now, it's called Owl Prowl, and sort of fall themed, but that is our main sort of fundraiser. But we again have artists painting, because artists just love the place, because it's different. It's not the usual, here are some beautiful flowers, here's some this, it's discovery. And so they love and find their little area. So we again have live music, we have wine. It's an art and wine wander, and you can wander through the gardens. And we also have owls, because the Avian Reconditioning Centre bring us some of their rehabilitated owls, and our own owls, who we have lots of them. They get a little bit territorial and they'll hang out and go, So we have to put the visiting owls under a canopy so that they don't feel too threatened by the owls, you know. But it's a delightful event, and you can chat to the artists and sample beer and nibbles and, you know, taste the food. So that's fun. Holiday event in December is our community event, and that is a Saturday right before the holidays, and we have nature-themed vendors, we have activities for the children. The wonderful old house is all decorated, and we usually have Santa and an elf usually helps him on the front porch, and families can come and have their photographs taken.
Very nice. Well, Angela, thank you so much. And if you haven't been to Nehrling Gardens, it is in Gotha, and it is a wonderful experience for people who love nature, who love plants, and who really love the outdoors, and want something that's really unique in Central Florida. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you. It has been a pleasure, Clarence. We appreciate it. We welcome everyone. Just go to our website first, because we're not open all the time because we don't have enough staffing yet. It's just we volunteers mostly.
Great. So check out the website first. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Thank you.